All right. It's good. It took twice to get it to go live. You know why? LinkedIn was not set right, so I just had to get that out of there, and then we're good to go.
Interesting.
Yes. We got a great guest today, Coach Johnson. Been around the game for a long time. Just recently retired in the last, I think, couple of years. Right? I think it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think he's been out of teaching 2-3 years now.
Yep. And but he's back. Did you say he's back coaching though?
Oh yeah, he's been coaching the entire time. He's just
retired from back. Yeah. But retired from teaching.
So
yeah.
Now he's just living the life, man. Living the life.
I know from Passaic Valley, obviously, but coached for a long time in the New Jersey Coaches Hall of Fame. I think in 2022 was named into New Jersey Coaches Hall of Fame. Known as a defensive guru. What's that?
So well deserved.
Yes, and known as a defensive guru. We'll bring him to the stage, Coach Johnson. Coach Johnson, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Like I said before, I love the hat, and I love that. What I did, I searched for like your like a good picture to go with. I liked your track and field picture, the best over here is, and pulled that one up. But you had a picture with that exact hat on. I was like, okay, there we go.
This hat's been around for a while.
It's been around for a while. It's a good one. Coach, give us a summary of your career, kind of places you coached, and talk a little bit about that, and then we'll dive right into it.
Okay, this is going to be my 47th year. I'm at Montclair High School now. I started out at Montclair State back in 1979. And before that, when I was in college, I worked as a scout for Bogota High School, Old Japan High School. So when I got to Montclair, I figured I would just stay there forever.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe I should have.
Yeah.
Looking back. But, but after Montclair, it was Passaic Valley, Bloomfield, St. Joe's Regional, St. Peter's Prep, and now Montclair.
And now Passaic Valley was where you went to high school, right, Coach? Because that was your alma mater.
Yeah, and that was the only school I ever thought about I'd go back to.
Right.
I mean, I was happy working with Coach G and Coach Hill at Montclair State, but I saw a chance to go home.
Right.
Then they kicked me out.
Yeah, you might be one of the only guys to get fired from the same school twice.
Hey, that's their fault for hiring me the second time.
Listen, I went back and at my alma mater and was a head coach there, and I got worked out of my alma mater too. So,
they say you can't go home again. They're right.
And you go there, you go there with these glorious intentions, right? Riding in on a white horse and everything like that, and it's funny when it changes, but yeah. So it's a long career. Obviously, you've been at a bunch of places as a head coach, as a DC, coaching now at Montclair. So you're coaching now with
Coach Johnson, Jermaine Johnson.
So Jermaine. So what's
this is what Jermaine? I think this is year 3 for him.
This will be our third season, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So he took over for when Fiore stepped away to go to Elizabeth.
Right.
Coach Johnson came in. He was at Belleville,
and right.
Now just made that move over to Montclair High School. Tons of tradition, right? NFL guys all over the place. Probably historically one of the top public tier schools in the state. Definitely a different, now look, I know you spent a couple years in the Big North with Joe's and Peters, right? So that was kind of an adjustment, right, to kind of now working into Montclair. Because I would, when I look at it, Montclair High is the closest you can get to those private schools, from a public school state.
Absolutely. It says when Montclair is good, Montclair can beat anybody. And they have.
Right.
Montclair, such tradition and such a mix of athletes and great school for football. Always has been that way. But one of the most famous schools in New Jersey for football.
Absolutely.
storied schools, not just for the championships, but
And I will tell you this, Dave.
Yeah.
The best snack stand in the state. Jerk chicken.
Oh, really?
Untouchable, brother. Untouchable.
I haven't had a shot at that yet.
That's because you're on the sideline where you need to be. When I was at West Orange scouting, first thing, jerk chicken. Let's go. It's really cool, Dave, though, because it's still the whole town still comes out for games. Right, Coach? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's still like look, they still play like a lot of Saturday games, right? So
All
it's
Saturday afternoons.
Yep. So it's one of the only shows in town, right? And it is literally the whole town.
Oh, it's and we've just redoing the facilities. So after I don't know how many years it's been since but we have a new field and they're putting in new bleachers. They're turfing up that whole area in the back for the baseball team.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's going to be a state-of-the-art facility. No doubt about it.
Dave, they're like one of the ones where like in one of the end zones is where their locker room is and they have all their facilities like kind of right there. And it's the field, I believe, is off campus though, correct?
Yeah, a little bit down the street, not that far of a walk.
Yep.
So it's as good as it gets for a high school level.
Absolutely.
What about, over the course of your 47 years? I mean, from the time you started coaching to the time, to now, what are some of the like major changes that you've seen in football that I don't know, maybe you could talk first about the good and then maybe about the ugly part of it.
Okay, well, the good part is that it's always changing, so you got to keep up with the trends and see what the hell's going on. You don't want to be caught flat-footed.
Mm-hmm.
So from, X's and O's wise, they say, nothing's ever new, but, well, stuff comes back, and it comes back better. So it's tough to be a defensive coordinator. I think the next time I want to become an offensive coordinator, to be honest, because if nothing works, you just punt. So, defense, nothing works. The guy puts his hands up in the air, and next thing you know, you're explaining to somebody what the hell just went wrong.
Yeah.
So, but it's the good part is it's always exciting. It's always changing. The down part is now it's become more of a money type situation, mainly for parents. Football is the way out for a lot of kids. Or not even so much the way out, it's just that there's an opportunity to save money by getting a scholarship. And so the parents I get it. I was a parent. I'm a parent. My son wasn't going to play college football. I understand that. But a lot of people don't understand that yet. So expectations have changed dramatically from a parental standpoint.
What do you think has changed their expectations so dramatically? And what I've noticed is obviously an acceleration of those expectations. I remember back in the day when you came and worked our camp in Parsippany, which might have been about 10 years ago, maybe a little more.
Oh,
yeah. And it was one way then, right? And it was already starting to grow from that standpoint. But in the last 5 years in particular, I've noticed an acceleration and change of their expectations. What do you think has changed the expectations of parents?
The cost of college.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
The price of college is just going up and up and up. Obviously, there's financial aid packages, but if you can get that coveted scholarship,
yep.
And now with NIL money out there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. We don't have any. We might have a couple of kids who are going to be scholarship players, but now not going to Alabama.
Right.
They're just good, solid players, but people don't realize they're not going to Alabama.
And I think that's the biggest issue, Coach. And look, we've seen it, right? When we coached together 2009, 2010, we were fortunate enough to have a hell of a roster and make it to the finals. And those guys, we looked across the board and was like, okay, even those guys, we only had one guy that was a potential higher level player. But I just think that you've seen now, it's such a difference of the self-awareness, right? Guys don't believe, when they think every one of them thinks they're going to Alabama. And that's, I think, a problem, and then someone along the way has to be the bad guy, right? And just tell them, hey man, that's not your role. That's not where you're going to go, and they either go one way or another with it. And I think it's a big issue now. And I'm sure you see it a lot more, especially at Montclair, but also, I mean, look, you saw it when you were at St. Peter's, you saw it when you were at Joe's. I mean, you were at St. Peter's with, some high-end prospects,
absolutely,
to see where they were going.
It was crazy. I remember one time we watched, we were breaking down a film and we paused it. And the coach said, "You think we can run this defense?" And I said, "Well, the guy is playing left end is going to go to Texas. The guy is playing the middle linebacker who's going to Wake Forest. The guy playing the left linebacker, he's going to Tennessee. And the guy on the left side, he's going to go to Georgia Tech. So, yeah, we can do it." I think we'll be okay.
And that's a huge thing. I mean, the different levels that people are at.
Oh, my God.
And coach has seen it across the board, right? Because I mean, look, you've been at Passaic Valley, where your first year you had a Division I guy with Nick Verkatapane going to Western Michigan, and then throughout your career, every stop you've seen, I'm sure, a lot of guys that had the potential to go but just really didn't go, or guys that pushed the envelope to try and go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the kids that I coached mainly at, especially at Prep and at St. Joe's, were off the charts.
Right.
There were kids there that, you could tell from the day they walked into the building that, oh my God, this kid's a player. Then there were kids who thought they were players. Then there was kids who didn't realize they were players. So that's, then again, that's our job to get it most out of them. But as far as where they're going to end up and how that works and the expectation, that's the head coach's job. I'm content being a defensive coordinator. I'm content being an assistant. Absolutely. Just turn that over to Jermaine, turn it over to Coach Hansen, to Augie. So, I've been fortunate. I've worked with some really good head coaches and guys that did a great job with their kids, and they're still doing it. I mean, Augie's back now at St. Joe's.
Yep.
And Richie took over for his father at St. Peter's. So those programs are in good hands, and those are good guys to work with. And, you know what? The one guy I really want to mention I worked for that was probably the best was Coach Carter at Bloomfield.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say, Coach. I said,
man,
he don't get enough credit for what he does in Bloomfield, man.
Oh, you know what? I thought I did a lot for my kids. Then after my first year at Bloomfield, it was like, oh man, I didn't do anything for my kids compared to what he's doing. He goes above and beyond of any coach I've ever worked with. And again,
it's been like that.
Yeah,
it's always been like that.
Yep. It's incredible what he does for his players and just for the students in general.
Right.
What about and on the good side of things, you mentioned defensively, the things that have changed, that have evolved tremendously. Talk about, I mean, obviously it's 47 years. There's a lot of things that have evolved. I mean, heavy run game to now everything being spread out. But talk about some of the things that have changed defensively and the challenges over the years.
Well, the problem, more defenses now are becoming pressure oriented. I'm going to get after you. That's all. But the problem there is, okay, they got a pretty good wideout, and I have a decent DB. All right, pretty good is better than decent. All right. So the question is, are you willing to turn it into a one-on-one game?
Right.
I can always bring one more than you can block. That's a definite. But that means I'm going to have to cover now. And I don't know if I have, at times I've had 5 guys that can cover.
Right.
So everybody can do everything right, and then the kid makes a great catch.
Yep. Right. Perfect ball beats perfect coverage, right?
And now with these dual threat quarterbacks.
Oh yeah.
God forbid you just one guy peeks inside and that quarterback's on the perimeter.
Game over.
All hell's going to break loose. So that's the part of defense that's changed tremendously is the dual threat quarterback. Now they're going to run the option. The option is a pain in the butt, but it's
something I feel like you can prepare for.
Yes. If you had the problem you have is, your ball handling during practice isn't going to be very good. So kids are going to make mistakes. So, sometimes you practice without a ball and just go through the different threats. So you got to work on that. But when they start just throwing it out on the perimeter and you got a kid who's a really, really good athlete, gets his hands on the ball, you better swarm the football because otherwise that kid's gone.
And that's a huge thing is that the the quarterback creates a +1 for the offense, meaning if you don't assign somebody to the quarterback, they have basically a free player there, and that creates a ton of issues. What are some of the things that you've done over the years to really, I guess in recent years, to try and neutralize the quarterback? Because you're less of a blitzing guy. Are you more of a react defense, or more? How do you operate it?
The older I've gotten, the more I defend, as opposed to blitzing.
Okay.
But what I always try to do is try to get a spy on the quarterback.
Okay.
You know, if we're going to rush 5, one of them is going to be just step back and take the quarterback. We're going to rush 4, one of them is going to step back and have the quarterback, or a linebacker will have it. So we're always going to assign somebody to the quarterback. Usually, you know, a linebacker or our best athlete who can actually catch him.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times people just assign a guy to him, and there's no way in God's earth he's going to get to him. So you got to put a good player. Make sure, listen, that quarterback, if he stays in the pocket, go on and go get him. But if he gets out of the pocket, it's your job. And also that allows, if you're going to, we call man-free spy. If we do that, that allows our defensive ends a chance to come inside.
Correct.
So they got a two-way go.
Yes.
They can go out and in, and they don't have to worry about containing because he has contained. So, you know, knock on wood, it's worked pretty good. You know, but we play some pretty good quarterbacks, man. Especially when
your public school league is pretty tough, bro. I mean, you got West Orange on there. You got, you know, even Columbia, right? You still playing them?
Yes, Columbia. We played East Orange.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I remember being in that league. You know, it's like, hey, there's athletes everywhere. Like every week, you're looking at somebody on that opposite roster that has a Division I scholarship. And you got to play the ball. Are you still a 4-4 base?
We start off in we call an 8-man front. We're a 4-4, but we have a nickel package. Yep. We have a dime package. We have a money package. And the premise, you know, a lot of guys say you're running too much, but the thing is, all right, if an inside linebacker gets hurt, do I put the next inside linebacker in, or is my next DB better than him?
Right.
So I want to get my 11 best at the time on the field. The defensive lineman gets hurt. So you're going to put in, like, you know, a sophomore defensive tackle who hasn't played, or you bring in a senior defensive back who can now turn you from a 4-4 to a 3-4.
Right.
So, you know, that's my premise behind. And also, if you're going to have 4 DBs in the game, 4 receivers, I got to get 4 DBs in.
Yep.
Right.
You know, and I'm not going to sit there and tell my rover, you know, you got to cover a slot, and you can't do it.
Correct.
You know, part of defense is to avoid mismatches. The other part of it is to create the mismatch. You know, so I always want to make sure I have the best group I can get on the field at that time. Now, if you're going to run the ball against my dime, okay, that's going to happen on occasion. We'll just tackle you.
Right.
You know. So I just want to make sure we don't get beat over the top, or we don't give them an easy one. We've given up some scores and stuff, but you never see a guy running free. What you see is a guy making a great catch,
right?
Or a guy missing a tackle. You know, in our offense, we've seen guys just fly down the field, and, you know, we do a great job of throwing the ball last year. We have guys wide ass open.
Right.
You know, but we don't, you know, fortunately, defensively, we don't get that so much as somebody makes a great catch or somebody makes a great move, you know, and then you just got to, you know, tackle them and line up again, hopefully.
Right. Just football. That's part of football.
Yes. You know, a lot of people don't realize that.
No. Sometimes you got to give credit to the offense, right? Like, dude, that was a great ball, or hey, that was a great move. Like, oh, nice call. Like, I think that is definitely something that people don't understand is, you know, as much as you're trying to do everything right on defense, sometimes, you know, that offense just does a good job, and you got to give kudos where kudos are needed.
You know, we faced some really good running backs. The kid from PCT was outstanding.
Yeah, that's another team you got to play, man. Like,
that was a championship game.
Exactly.
You know, I'm more afraid of a team that can just really just pound you.
Right, one that's just going to come at you constantly, kind of like what we see down here in the Shore. Is I compare the Shore Conference a lot to like Morris County, right? Like a lot of wing T type stuff, a lot of running the ball stuff. Like, you're seeing some spread, but there isn't many teams that you would say chuck it around down here.
No, we get again. I'll face 3 wing T teams. I'll face spread. teams that'll line up with 3 backs and just try to pound you. So every week is something different. You know,
Right.
very rare. I mean, there was a time at Montclair State when we literally faced 9 wing T teams in a row. And the best team was the first one, and the worst one was the last one.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
But
unbelievable.
you had some wild defenses there. You had some good ass players.
Oh yeah, we had some, outstanding players. I always try to take my best player and put him at the strong side defensive end, what I call the strike.
That was one of the first. So Dave, just so you know a little bit. So I was fortunate enough that the first 2 seasons I actually coached, 2009, 2010, I got to be with Coach Jay as a DC. He was the DC. I learned more football just in those 2 years as a rookie coach. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So I do remember that, right? Because you got your strike, you got your rover, you got your bandit, right? Your
you got him right. Yeah.
And that strike has to be a dude.
Oh, he is the dude. You know, on defense, what you need to do is come up with one position threat. Now, if you got a big kid, you make him your defensive lineman. If you don't have a big kid, make him your strong safety. Make somebody that the offense is going to have to worry about. And I like to move them around all different positions. You know, we called it our Bama package.
Yeah.
You know, I got that. I was fortunate enough to be a GA at Georgia Tech in 1984. And our defensive coordinator, Don Lindsay, he was his first year there too. He had, now how's this for a resume? GA at Alabama, defensive coordinator at USC. He won 3 national championships. Defensive coordinator at Arkansas. He's worked for Holtz, John McKay, John Robinson, Bear Bryant. And it never ends. So everything I got from him.
Right, and wasn't who was the head coach? Bill Curry?
Yeah, Coach Curry was his second or third year. We were pretty good.
And you did what? 2 years as a GA there?
1 year. 1 year
Just
GA.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting the different styles of everything and the different evolutions of the offenses and defenses and coaching styles. And you've worked with so many different types of coaching styles. Like over the years, what have you found that meshed well with you? Are you a guy that adapts to what other people have? How have you found like you work best as a coach?
I will do what you want me to do. I'm not going to challenge the system. You know, I can adapt to whatever I have to face. I mean, I've had coaches who were yellers and screamers. Okay, then I'll be the calm guy. I had guys who were just laid back. Well, I'll be the bad guy. You know, whatever you need from me, I'm going to do for you. I'm not going to try to go in there and force the issue on anything. I know you know your role.
Yes.
So, and I was, as a head coach, I wasn't a yeller and a screamer. I was more laid back than anything. Probably should have been a yeller and a screamer. I might still be the head coach.
Yeah.
Because I replaced a coach who was, an outgoing kind of guy. So I think the difference between me and the previous coach was night and day kind of stuff. And then I went up from Coach Carter to Coach Hoffman. Can't get much of a bigger difference in those 2 guys.
Right.
So everybody's different. I think the key is, Dave, not to force yourself. Just be yourself. I like to have a good time. I like to laugh. I'm more of a sarcastic, wise ass kind of guy.
Well, Dave knows all about that with me.
No doubt.
Oh,
now you know why I am the way I am. I got a little bit of Coach Jay in me.
Well, hopefully you don't get a lot.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Moose, I got a question. Do you miss coaching football more at PV or track?
I miss track at PV.
I had a feeling because I know you love track.
Oh, track was fun. I was here's the best part. The day that they fired me as a football coach, they made me the indoor track coach.
That's great.
Good old Passaic Valley.
No, the first track meet I ever went to, I coached in. So I didn't know what the hell was going on. But then I became the girls' Do I hear an echo? Or is it me?
I don't hear an echo, but
All right,
I
so
I'm good.
I can hold on. I can let me try something here. See if that's better. I don't know if that's any better or not.
How's that, Coach?
Yeah, all right, it's better. I can
Okay.
hear a little bit, but that's all right.
Oh, there
I
you go.
enjoyed. I became the girls' head coach in track, and I love coaching the girls' track team. Coaching the girls is the best, no doubt about it.
Yeah, coaching track is I coached it for 5 years. It was a ton of fun. I mean, there's things that are related to football, but it's very different. Like, the individuality of track and the ability to like have those kind of relationships with the kids and work on their individual skills is I think a great thing about track. And because they're responsible most of the time. Obviously, there's relays and stuff, but they're responsible for their individual
Yeah.
performance. And I always thought it was like a great balance after coaching football, which is obviously a team oriented sport. 99% of it is.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and track, well, you really gives you the individual to work with the kids and girls. I haven't coached girls track. They're so appreciative. Like they're boys when they do something well and you say, hey, great job. They say thank you. Girls, you can see they really appreciate it when you
Oh
thank them.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. They get fired up for just a PR or just it's a lot of fun. No, what was really great was I keep more in contact with my ex-girl runners than I do with some of the ex-football players, to be honest. We
Yeah, you had some.
doctors, lawyers. I got all kids very successful. And know what's really crazy is now they're all moms.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's like insane.
Yep.
Derek, your mic is a little weird. It sounds like you're yelling.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure as hell
you're
yelling.
Yeah, yours is real loud. I don't know how if you're able to lower it at all. I'm not sure, but your sounds super loud. Yeah, I think that's really an interesting. All right, let's talk a little bit about what you see. So we talked a little bit about the desire for scholarships, right, and all that kind of stuff at the college level. And I thought you brought up a really good point about college costs. I don't think people factor that becomes part of the panic button with parents, right? Soaring college costs, and you're trying to figure out a way to reduce that college costs, and athletics becomes a way to do that for a lot of parents, or they're hoping that becomes a way to reduce the cost for a lot of parents. Talk about okay, there. Is this better, Derek?
Yeah, we're switching around things.
Oh, that is better. That is better volume. Talk about college recruiting in football. Some of the things that you've seen, and obviously the obvious changes in NIL and those kind of stuff and transfer portal. But talk about what you see from kids, what you see from parents with respect to college recruiting. Like, how do they approach it? And a lot of people don't understand, because when I played in the 90s, when I got recruited I went to UConn and had my scholarship offers in the 90s. You sent literally VHS film out. Actually, I was on the verge of that 16 millimeter VHS transition. So we were sending 16 millimeters, which you're hoping to get those back, right? Because you wanted to send it to the next school. People don't realize how arduous that was. And coaches came in, especially with the 16 millimeter. They really, for the most part, came in because you could only make so many copies, right?
Yeah.
VHS started to change that because you can make more copies. DVDs changed that more. Obviously, Huddle has changed that dramatically because you can send a link out in 2 seconds. And then obviously, because of that, the relationships, meaning they're not coming in. They come in to visit the high school coaches, but they're not coming in the same regularity and time spent as they did in the past. The relationships that my high school coach had with the coaches that came in and recruited me are vastly different than the high school coaches have with those guys now. Talk a little bit about that change over the years and how it's affected recruiting.
Well, the problem is now that basically the kids are almost in charge of their own recruiting.
Right.
Correct.
They're doing it as, as a college coach who's okay. And as a high school coach, they would come to me and say, all right, who do you have? Well, they already know who you have.
Yep.
And our kids, they would go to all the camps. You try to convince the kids that you don't have to go to 1,000 different camps, but
got to go to the right ones.
Yeah, go to the ones that are okay. You know what? If you love school that much, give it a shot. Okay, but kids got to realize that there's opportunities elsewhere for them, and that they need to be open to going, someplace maybe that they didn't think they were going to go to.
Correct.
Kids, that's a little hard for kids to understand at times. You
Correct.
know what? Also, someone's got to grab them as a freshman and say, listen, Alabama's going to bring in 25 kids. Right, so your senior year, you hopefully be one of 25. But how many great students is Notre Dame, or how many great students is Syracuse going to bring in? Okay, that number is endless. Because every school wants a great student. So if you do a great job in the classroom, you got a great shot at going somewhere else. And the other thing, we tell the kids that it's not just football. Here's what I always told my kids. I know one thing. For 12 days, you're going to be happy. You're going to put on the helmet. You're going to put on your shoulder pads. You're going to go out there and knock the hell out of somebody and have a good game and have a game. What are you going to do for the other 280 days you're on campus? You're not going to sit in your room. So you got to pick a school as though you were never going to play football or never going to run track. And if you feel comfortable, go there and then run track and then play football.
Right.
To me, that was the best piece of advice I could give the kid. And I still, I'm not real big on the recruiting part now. That's Jermaine's job. When the coaches come in, they'll say hi to you, whatever. But when I'll grab a kid and I'll tell them, that's exactly what I tell them. What are you going to do? Where would you go if you didn't play?
Right. You really gotta, and a lot of these guys, it's all football based and it's this and it's that. And it's like, man, you really just got to understand that, when you go to this school, there's so much. Yeah, football takes up a lot of time, but what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? Set it up so that you have to fall in love with the school itself. You got to know, am I a warm weather guy? Am I a cold weather guy? Am I a big school person? Am I a small school person? How about, does this school have the education that or the major that I want, what I want to do with my life? That's a huge part. But now with the transfer portal, it used to be, hey, this is a big decision for the next 4 years of your life. You really got to lock in and do this. These guys look at it now like, oh, if I go and I don't like it, I'll just leave.
It's a 1-year deal now.
It's a different, that's what it is. It's a 1-year deal.
You didn't want to have to transfer schools and chase credits and become a 5-year guy. But now being a 5-year guy, even hell, with COVID years, now you can be a 6-7-year guy.
That's the thing.
Oh, it's it's a completely different animal.
100%.
And I saw a meme the other day about Kirby Smart saying that kids are now sitting out their senior year in high school.
Yep, saw the same thing. I told Dave about it.
And he said, I don't know, that's nuts.
Yeah, and he said, look, I don't know about you, but if this guy's going to sit out his senior year, he ain't coming to Georgia.
You know what, though? If he's real good, though, he might.
I agree with that. I agree with that. There's definitely
he ain't turning down that 5-star guy.
No.
Yeah, he's definitely not turning down that 5-star guy. There's no doubt about it.
I think that just showcases that how, the kids today, the whole team aspect. Football is the ultimate team game. 11 guys trying to do their job to be successful. And now, that's great. Hey, we won the game, but, I didn't get enough carries or, I didn't score a touchdown. Why didn't I get the ball, right? Some of these guys would take, 2,000 yards instead of a state championship. It's just a different type of dude we're dealing with.
Oh, you know what? It's a different type of parent, too.
That's where it all comes from, Moose. You know what I'm saying?
Parents,
that's where it all comes from.
How come my kid didn't get get 5 catches. How come Mike can only carry the ball 10 times?
Right. And, these kids are going home and they're being told they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And why isn't coach playing you more? And you need to do this. And, how come to this? Like, it's just different.
Two quick stories about recruiting. When I was at Tech, the defensive coordinator told us he was at USC when Marcus Allen, Ricky Bell, all those Anthony Davis were the tailbacks when they won the championships. He said when he would go out recruiting running backs, the kids didn't think that they could play there. He said, we want you to come to USC. I can't play there. They're like, I'm not that good. And there's
Could you imagine that?
That's never going to happen now. And he would say, no, we think you're that good. That's why we're here trying to recruit you. And so he would. So that's how they would handle like going after the high end kid. You got to convince them that they could play at USC. And that's never going to happen nowadays. That kids think they walk on the field, they figure they should be a starter.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean,
it's like, hey, it's the same thing with coaches. Coaches walk into the building now and they're like, hey, I won a lot of Madden games. I should call plays. Like, buddy, what are we talking about here?
You know what? If I had to be an offensive coordinator, I would take stuff off of Instagram.
Yeah.
I would take all those great plays that I see, and I would just give them names or some shit like that, and then just use those plays. Because those plays look pretty good.
That's true.
Yeah, right.
Moose, that's why we kept you on the defensive side of the ball, Moose.
Yeah, I know. I'm a frustrated offensive coordinator. I did.
Coach was a big believer in the Wildcat. He was all for that from the jump, man.
I started. I think I called plays twice. I set the national high school record for most play action passes. If you didn't know, if you scouted us, you better get ready for the boot.
You better.
That's it.
That's funny.
Nobody covers the flat. We played one game, and I guess I'm not gonna say who we played it against, but I called sprint right flood. First time we threw the pass, the guy in the middle was wide open. He dropped it. I said, run it again. Run it again. This time he overthrew the guy in the flat. I said, run it again. And the corner screaming, hey, they're running it again. They're running it again. I said, just run it again. And the guy's wide open again, so he can complete it for a first down. So, offensive guys sometimes get a little bit too complicated, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that all the time. They think it's like more is better. How about like 12 plays and be good at them?
Yeah, okay.
Execution.
Yeah, well, I think the key is to be able to have variations off of the same play. That's
right. Like you can run the same play, run it out of 5 different formations.
Either running out of formations or the same play that has a play action that has a read off of it. Those kind of things, and keep it simple so you can move fast. I mean, that's the thing that kids today. I think a lot of coaches today they either make it too complicated and they move it too slow, or they don't adapt to their personnel.
Yep.
They just run a system, period. And,
how many times do we talk about that, right? Like,
and obviously it's good. You want to have a system. I mean, obviously.
Right, you need a foundation. But at that point, you need to realize, like, hey, bro, Jimmy is way better than Joe.
Right, but the big thing is to be able to adapt that system, and the more you can adapt that system to what your guys can do, the better off you are. But yeah, 100%. I mean, that's a big deal, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's a big thing. So a lot of football players, I mean, in the South, they all run track. Not all, but a lot of them do. In the Northeast, not a lot of football players have gone away from. I don't know if you've noticed that, but have gone away from running track, and I think that's a mistake, because when you're dealing with and you're trying to get scholarships, as a lot of them hope to get, speed is such a big deal in football, and if they don't have the speed necessary. Like, talk about the things that track does for football players that you can't get if you just go to a trainer. Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand that, and I know you uniquely do. Explain that.
Okay, when you run track, from my perspective, was this: it's competition. When you go to a trainer, it's okay, fine. He's going to give you some of the same drills, or he'll give you some drills that are just so far out there that you've never seen before. I get that because that's how they make their money. But the best part about track is the competition. You're going to run against the best kid. Now my whole take on it was I want you to run track. I want you to play other sports, because football, I get you first. Right. So, but if you're going to play, you're going to run track, I want you to be a varsity player.
Yep.
I don't know if, I'd rather see you with us in the weight room if you're going to be a novice kid.
Right.
Okay. And if you're going to be sitting the bench in the basketball team,
right.
or if you're going to be sitting the bench, I'd just as soon have you out working with us. You know what, like, Dave, you coach track also,
Yep.
right? Okay. So we know how to make kids fast. We know the drills. We know how to do it. We know how to make you strong. We know how to make you fast. Track guys, obviously, I'm not technical in the jumps and stuff, but if you're a great athlete, all right, go out for the other sports. I get it, and run track. Track should make you faster, but if you're just going to be, running novice against kids who are, have no clue what they're doing, I think you might be better off working out with us in the weight room. But I would, I'll be honest with you. If I had to do high school all over again, I would be a soccer player, I would be a wrestler, and I would play baseball. Because think about it, you're going to play 30 games a year, right?
Yeah.
So that's 90 games. That means you got a game every other day in school.
Yep. Football's different. It's all practice.
Yeah, man. And I love practice. I can't get enough of practice. I hate Friday nights. I want the extra day all the time.
Well, I mean, it's also, Moose, you got to understand, like, you're also conditioned. I mean, PV always played Saturday, never had lights, never had turf up until a couple years ago. Now they got the brand new lights. They're flashing all over the place. It's like a freaking club, right? But you're conditioned to play Saturdays. You've always played Saturdays. Most of the stops you've had have been Saturdays. I mean, you're conditioned for that. That's not the norm for everybody. I mean, look, I was conditioned that way because at Butler, we played on Saturdays as well. So it was an easy transition with, PV. Then I get to, West Orange and Mount Olive, and it's like, hey, Friday Night Lights is the way to go. Even RBR was a lot of Fridays. And then at St. John's, same thing, Friday nights. It's different because, you look at the college game, you get that day, and that day matters.
Oh, absolutely. To me, Monday's always going to be a goal line, 2-minute day for practice. Tuesday is first down, Wednesday is second down, Thursday is third and fourth down. Friday is review. So I had 20 years of that at college level.
Yeah.
And then as head coach of PV, okay, fine. Obviously as a coach, now you got to adapt. You go from a Saturday to a Friday night.
Right.
So now you're losing a day of practice. Now you go from the best, obviously, is going from a Friday to a Saturday.
Yeah, you get a day.
One thing I always would do is I would write out every day of the year. I'd get a big calendar and I'd mark out, we'll put all the games in and how the practice schedules, what we're going to work on. I would have the whole year done in advance. And then obviously, you have to adjust it for rainouts and storms and stuff like that. But I enjoy practice, because you don't lose at practice. Seriously, you can lose because of practice, but you don't lose at practice. You go home, okay. I don't know what you guys are. Are you guys hate to lose or love to win?
I'm a hate to lose guy.
Dave, what are you?
I think I'm more a love to win guy.
Okay, I was a hate to lose guy for the longest time. Then I realized, I'd lose a game in Montclair State and I wouldn't sleep for 3 nights. And now I become, enjoy the wins.
Yeah.
So I love to win now. If we lose, learn from it. Try not to make the same mistake again, and really enjoy the wins. Those wins they're precious, man.
Right. They're rare. People don't understand. I don't think that's another concept. I don't think people really get, man, even just to win any game takes so much work. and effort.
I think they're conditioned as young kids. They everybody puts like the better kids on certain teams, and they just win all the time. Right? And they beat up on the kids who are not quite as good. So what happens is a lot of these kids they start to face equal competition
and it changes the game.
You're going to lose a lot more, right? And they don't know how to handle it, right?
I mean, you lose just in life in general. You lose a lot more than you win, you know.
But when you start to face competition that suits you, I think it's a rec thing more than anything else, because rec sports have become more of like, all right, you're friends with me and I'm friends with you, and
let's get on the same team, buddy.
Let's put all our kids on the same team. And then what happens is they win, I don't know, 8 out of 9 games every year, right? And now they all of a sudden go and play, maybe, I don't know, travel, and they're winning half the games. They don't know how to handle it, right? They haven't been conditioned to like learn from losing. I guess it's almost fear of losing, right? Because they've won so much, they just have this fear of losing.
Well, they also just don't know how to handle it,
and they don't know
how to go about it, because they've never been conditioned. You know, they've never really lost. Even when they lose, right? People, the referees, coach. The coach was the responsibility. Like, there's always someone to blame or a fault.
They get it all from the pros,
right?
You know,
how about
the NFL? They watch it. We blame the coach. We blame the quarterback. We blame the receiver, the guy who got a penalty, right? So we blame them.
The blame game.
But they're at their level, the low level, they're winning, and then all of a sudden they face equal competition and they lose. You know, maybe as much as they win, or maybe even if they win more than they're losing, they're not used to the losing aspect, and they don't know how to adapt, so they improve. That's the biggest thing I see is like, okay, you lose. Now, what happened in this game? Adapt so we improve, right? What did we learn so we can improve, fix a little thing? Everyone wants to fix a big thing. Like, we got beaten, let's say, man to man. Okay, we'll play zone the whole game next game. It's like, no, that's not the answer. The answer is maybe we had a technique issue, right? Maybe we should play some more zone, okay? But it's not an and that's why I think everyone gets into these all or nothing things.
Oh, absolutely. I remember seeing, we had a coach at Montclair State. We lose a game, and he was like, "Oh, we suck." No, we don't. Like, no, we don't suck. Okay, you know, we're not bad. We just had, you know, they're all American, made a great play. You know, so you're right.
Maybe that team has some better players.
You know what? You know, after every game, you start. You know, you do the old lineup. Okay, I'll take this kid, and how many of their players you're going to take? You know, a lot of times it's like, oh shit, I'm going to take a whole lot more of their players than I'm going to take of my players.
That's one thing I took from you, Coach Jay, was I do that every game now, right? Like, so on Sundays when I get the film, I'm looking at it and I go, all right, if this is the NFL draft, or if we're drafting teams here, okay, I'm taking, all right, my guy's number 1, but they got numbers 2 through 5, so we got problems.
Yeah. You know what? One thing I always do when I was head coach was the very first day of practice, we would put in, all right, we go over how to lose. I say, okay, they're going to line up for a victory. Okay, they're going to take the victory snap, and here's how we're going to line up. And I'm going to show it to you one time. And this is the only time we're going to go over it. We're going to lose. We're going to do it the right way. Okay, we're not going to jump offside. We're not going to smack anybody. We're not going to throw our helmets and stuff. Okay, this is how we do it. Then I would never talk about it again. You know, just never practice it again. Just, okay, this is the one time, and I'm going to show you how we're going to get it, how it's going to happen. We practice the victory flop every day, because God forbid you got a kid, you know, you always find one on YouTube where the quarterback takes it and throws it up in the air and all happy, and some guy takes it and runs it in for a touchdown, kind of stuff. So we always
you were always the guy to have that guy like dive under the center, try and catch that thing.
Yeah, no, and I saw it actually worked once. It actually worked. So
I remember that.
I'm going to keep trying to do it. You know what else, though? You know, I know Coach Shiano caught a lot of hell for this, especially when he was in the NFL. But if you're within one score, and if I can cause a fumble, I'm going to take a shot and try to cause a fumble.
Yeah.
Like we tried that my first game at Montclair High School. We played West Orange, and They had the ball on. They stopped us in the 4th and goal, so they had the ball on their own 3, and it was like less than a minute to go, and the refs wouldn't let us do it.
Safety thing, right?
Yeah, and I'm saying to myself, like, wait a minute.
You're like, that's not a dead play.
And guess how we scored our only touchdown in that game? They fumbled in the end zone. So, maybe you got to have a podcast about officials letting us do what we're supposed to do.
Actually, we were supposed to have one with one last week. So.
Okay.
We're getting there, Moose. We're getting there. But listen, just like I know, referees, thankless job. Like, who would want to be a ref? Who would want to be a referee?
I don't know. I just like, I don't know. I can put a life in me. Now, I could be a track guy. I'll be a track official.
Yeah, wear that nice yellow jacket. Be like, hey, you're good. Throw it, whatever.
I want the gun.
Yeah,
I want the gun. I want the gun.
Track official looks fun.
Yes, except if you got to be the guy that's going to mark. I don't want to have to bend down like 9,000 times. I don't want to have to do that at a county meet or something like that. But that's a little bit better. I like to be the starter or be the guy at the finish line. I can handle that, especially now with electronic timing.
Oh,
Not that hard. Not that hard. So
yeah, good stuff.
I'm looking forward to this year. We got like 17 returning starters.
Yeah, that's big. I know you guys were very young last year.
Oh, it's crazy.
Played a lot of young guys, which, I mean, look, you're talking Group 5 school, right? So what is there, like 2,400 kids in that school?
Yes. We had, I got 3 returning D linemen, 3 linebackers.
Is your strike coming back?
What's that, Derek? Would you say it again?
I said, is your strike coming back?
We got no, I just had to delete a phone call. We have the strike's not back, but I'm going to make a new strike, and he's pretty good. Now the guys that we lost are pretty good players. One's going to West Point Prep, and the other 2 are playing some Division III football. So offensively, we got 4 offensive linemen. We have 3 receivers, and we have 2 running backs. Okay. And our kicking game's back.
That's huge. A lot of people don't understand how big that kicking game is.
Oh, we won the semifinal with a last-second field goal.
Especially in that league where you got dudes all over the place. I mean, literally, it's a hell of a conference. I mean, you're playing the PCTs of the world who have just been rolling for the last couple of years. West Orange, who's always stacked with at least some type of dudes. I mean, it's just a really good league.
And we got Ridgewood on the schedule. We have Ramapo as a crossover. We have Union City.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you
got to go to the roof?
Yes. Yeah, we got to go there. They're well coached.
We had Coach Valdez on a couple episodes ago. He's a big wing T guy. I mean, look, he beat Phillipsburg not throwing a pass.
That's the other thing about high school. You got to realize you don't have to throw the football.
Nope.
You can. Like when Navy's good, Navy never threw the football. You know what? They completed 1 pass against Army, and 1 year they won the game. They completed 1 pass for 1 yard. They ran a waggle on the goal line, and they won the game. So you can win it without throwing the ball, but a lot of coaches don't want to. They don't think you can, or the fans want to see you throw it all over the place.
I think that's the big part too. Like, you're getting pressure from those parents. Like, hey, I see everybody on Sundays just throwing the ball all over the place. Like, how come you're not doing that? And it's like, well, we don't need to, and we're still winning. But now you have a problem with that. Like,
the best advice I ever heard was from a high school coach in Texas. When everybody was running the veer, they were running the wing tee, they were running triple options. He said he runs a pro offense. And they said, why? He goes, well, every Sunday I can watch Tom Landry coach, and I think he knows more about football than I do. So if he runs something, I can put it in on Monday.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, right? Okay.
Say rocket science.
Yeah. I get into, I DVR all the games. And that's how I don't go to clinics much anymore. What I do is I DVR all the playoff games, and I just studied it. And once your team loses, I eliminate you from the DVR. So I have all the Chiefs games. And I just study the defense and try to see what they're doing. They're doing something right.
Yeah.
Now, did you see that the NFL players ranked everything? They gave everything on the facilities a report card.
Oh,
And
each player did it?
Yeah, each player. So the Chiefs, Andy Reid got an A+, but of the 32 teams, the Chiefs are ranked 31st. They said the strength coach sucks, the facility sucks, the stadium stinks, the field stinks. You know, and then they had the distractions with all the Taylor Swift. So between Taylor Swift and having literally the worst facilities in the NFL, they still somehow win. So maybe
what does that tell you?
Yeah, it tells you to give Mahomes a quarterback, I guess.
Yeah, no, sometimes that guy can make a difference.
You know, but it's like you got to overcome stuff.
Yeah, that's what the game is, Coach. And in all your years, I mean, look, you've seen it from, Montclair State because you were there when it was, a hammer.
Yes. You know what? I think we averaged 8 wins a year for the first 10 years I was at Montclair State.
It's pretty damn good, Bruce.
What made you left Montclair State because you wanted to go back to PV? Is that
yes.
Okay?
Yep. And Charlie and Richie and Ricky all told me not to go, and they were right. But I figured I got to take a shot. I didn't apply for any other jobs. This is my chance to go back to my alma mater. So
now, when you were coaching at Montclair State, you were still teaching at PV?
No, I was teaching at Eastside High School in Patterson.
Oh, Moose.
Yeah, it was fun. I had to drive past Montclair to get there. What I would do is I'd come home. I'd do all my practice schedules. I'd drop them off at Montclair on the way to work. I go teach at Eastside High School, and then I would drive back, stop off, and go to practice.
But I mean, East Side, Coach. I mean, we're talking. That's a little bit of a different.
That was okay. So that was it was an adventure. It was a lot of fun. You know what? I love teaching. I might be the only guy in the history of teaching. I taught 12 classes a day.
Oh, Moose, I remember you were a huge impact. You were a huge impact when it came to me and talking about teaching because, you were a history teacher as well, which was my world too. So, I mean, I just dove into everything that you did. I remember you teaching 6 classes a day at PV. I mean, you were always like, give me more teaching.
I love teaching. I had no problem. I would teach a class before school. I would teach 5 during school. Then I taught 3 classes right after school for supplemental program. Then I taught 3 night school classes. I didn't even know what the hell I was talking about by the time I got to the night school class. But it was, the kids would ask me, like, well, what's the homework? So I asked your mom, because I gave her the same homework in night school. It never ended, man. But it was fun. I enjoyed every second of it. I do miss, in the history today, I miss teaching stuff like that. So, but I ain't going back.
No, hell no.
No.
Well, once you're done, you're done.
Yes, absolutely. I'm through with teaching. My wife retired, so now we travel. So.
Yep. That's awesome, Moose, especially being a history guy. Now you get to go, you go to Europe, you're doing your thing. Yeah. You have your son was always such a big part of you. I believe he went to University of Arizona, right?
Yep. And hopefully we'll win today and move on.
That's
I don't watch any games other than Arizona.
Well, they're a good basketball school to watch.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
And now you're a grandpa. Like, I love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best, man. My grandkids are the best. They live 5 minutes away.
And that's important.
Yeah. So I can see them whenever I want or whenever they need me. So, yeah. Football's important, but it's not that important when it comes to the other stuff.
Right, which is crazy. Right? Because if you look back and you think about it, like, for so long, football was it. And that was like, and now you look at it and it's totally different.
Like, if you told me I couldn't, if you fired me again, okay. You know what? I mean, I've been fired so many times that I'm used to it. Hey, I'll tell you what, though. All right, now understand this. The first time I got fired at PV, I went to Bloomfield. I got to work with Carter. And I also met my wife, Angela. So that's a win.
Yep.
The second time I got fired at PV, I literally got hired the next day at St. Joe's as defensive coordinator. I always told people that was like being fired as a head coach at Kentucky and becoming the DC at Alabama. I said, okay.
Yeah, Moose.
Right? And we won a state championship.
That's what I was going to say. You got a ring that year.
I got a ring. So, okay. I'm good.
Coach, it always works out. You know what I mean? When you kind of do the right thing. And that's kind of how that's kind of been your MO. One last thing I think, unless Dave has anything else.
No,
you got to talk about, the Moose thing. You got to explain to people
Okay.
Moose, because nobody understands it, and especially down here, I'm a lone soldier when it comes to Moose down here.
Okay. I started coaching at Montclair State in '79. The first day of practice, Coach Hill looked at the kid and said, "Hey, Moose." I said, "Okay." He's not a real big guy. All right. And so the kid turned around, he's talking to him. All right, fine. And then 20 minutes later, he grabbed another kid and said, "Hey, Moose." I said, "All right, that's weird. Two kids named Moose." And then he got a third. So I said to Coach Hill, "Who's Moose?" And he goes, "We're all Mooses." "What do you mean?" He goes, "Coach Hill calls everybody Moose." And so it just became a habit. So everybody's, if you played at Montclair, you're a Moose.
That's it.
You know what the best part is? So you can have a conversation and not say anybody's name. and they know who you're talking to.
100%.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, Moose. And the right person always turns around.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I would do that in my classroom. Then the kids loved it in the classroom because half of them, they don't have any nicknames.
No.
So they loved it when they would start calling me Moose.
That's
what we did this year was
I saw this.
Last year we started with the Mooseables. We called takeaways, interceptions, and fumbles. We call them Mooseables. And I found a moose hat on Amazon, and so we take a picture of the kid and we post it on social media after they get at the end of the year, whoever got the most gets to keep the hat.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, it's fun. It's a lot, there's your turnover change. We have the turnover moves.
Yeah. It's just been such a part, and it's so hard to explain to people. I'm like, look, it's just like another name, man. And it's like, it literally is, especially down here, because so many of the guys that I played with at Montclair or have been affiliated with Montclair, it's the same thing. So, there's mooses flying around all over, and people are looking around like, what's that? Who, and it's like, dude, it's just, oh, you must have played at Montclair. It's like, yeah, I did.
Absolutely. I remember I call my kids Moose, which is probably not the brightest thing in the world.
That's great.
So I gotta tone that one back a little bit. But I call my grandkids Moose.
You're good, Moose. You're good.
Yeah, see, there you go. It's just human nature. And I saw this T-shirt. I saw the sweatshirt from Utica College. I guess their nickname is the Pioneers, and the Moose is their mascot. And it said "Fear the Moose," and it was in blue and orange. So
there you go. You hit all the colors.
So I got the right colors now, blue and
I mean,
white.
I got a stuffed moose that one of the kids gave me. I got that right up on my wall.
Yeah, there you go.
The kids started telling, like me, they're like, shit, Coach calls everybody Moose. It's just easier. So they said that's what I got at the end of the year banquet a couple of years ago.
You know what? I don't have to know your name.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And then you look like, hey, you call the right guy Moose, and it's like, okay, buddy, all right, here we go. So I think it's just something that's so,
uniquely
so
Montclair.
Specific. Yes, it's so specific and so unique to kind of that culture.
There's a lot of people at St. Valley High School that know it. There's kids at St. Joe's that know it. There's kids at St. Peter's there. It's funny how it spreads around.
It is.
But it's also funny how many Montclair State guys there are out there.
Look, I look at the team
that uniquely. From Derek. I've learned that uniquely. He's like, that guy's a Montclair guy. That guy's a Montclair guy. That guy's a Montclair guy. I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's like a cult.
47 years coaching, there aren't too many games where there's not somebody on the other sideline that I coached. It's crazy.
Moose, I'm telling you, I look at my team, just the guys that graduated with me, and I mean, I'm talking about, 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen are now coaches, head coaches, if not like high-end coordinators, assistants. I mean, guys that were quarterbacks. I mean, I literally could go through my roster and I bet you over half of them are somewhere, shape, or form. And I tell Dave this all the time. There's not a job interview I've ever gone on where someone hasn't said, oh, you went to Montclair State? Like, oh, you played for Coach G, or you did that. There's just always some type of network that links back to Montclair State and Coach G. It's just a phenomenal type of thing. And, I tell Dave about it all the time. I just went from one cult to another cult, going from Butler to Montclair, because it's the same damn thing. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody stays that tight group. That's how I've always managed and worked. So it's kind of funny.
It's either you became a coach or you became a state trooper.
That's it.
Yeah. I think about half of the state troopers on the turnpike in the parkway are Montclair State guys.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, so.
Well, that's because they have that good criminal justice program too, right?
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
Great physical education, great criminal justice.
Yep. Teacher school. There you go.
Teacher school. Yep.
I firmly believe that if we were recruiting you when I was at Montclair State and you chose not to go there, you were too dumb for us. Seriously. I also felt that way when I was coaching at Georgia Tech. They hired a new coach from Arizona State, so they flew me out to drive his Mercedes back because he didn't want his wife to do it. I said, okay. So I drove out to I flew out to Tempe, and I got a brand new Mercedes, and I got to drive it from Tempe to Atlanta. And I drove through Arizona State's campus. If Arizona State recruited you and you decided not to go there, then there's something's wrong with you. And like you got to be out of your freaking mind. It's like it was the most beautiful place. Now my son's an Arizona grad, so Arizona State sucks. I get that.
That switch gets flipped real quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it was like wow.
I just think it's funny that you had to drive his car back because he didn't want his wife to do it. I think that's itself.
Dude, the first night I drove to El Paso, spend the night. The next day I had to drive from El Paso to Fort Worth. Do you know how wide Texas is?
Yeah, it's never ending. People think
Enormous.
driving through Pennsylvania is a long trip on Route 80.
500 miles. Okay, and as I'm driving through, I hear on the radio. Now, here's the best part. You remember that song, We Are the World?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was The Weeknd. So the only song on the radio was We Are the World. Okay, so I'm driving. All of a sudden you hear like beep, 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 beep. This is the National Weather Service. Tornado warnings have been cited in the following Texas counties. Texas has 321 counties. I have no idea what county I'm in. I pull over to the side of the road and the guy goes, just crack your windows. And that way the window will go through. I said, okay, my windows are cracked. I'm driving, all of a sudden the guy in front of me pulls over. And I pull over behind him under an overpass, and I said, listen, I'm scared to death, dude. What do I do? He goes, listen, when I pull over, you pull over. I said, okay. Because when I get out, jump and run to a ditch, you do the same thing. I said, oh, shit, okay. The sky's battleship gray and stuff. Fortunately, I guess I figure I'm in a brand new Mercedes, so if the tornado hits at 100 miles, I can probably go 120 at least.
Yeah, you beat it. You beat it.
So fortunately, I made it to Fort Worth that night. And but man, you know what? I had a lot of crazy things happen as a football coach. A lot of stuff like off the field stuff that happened because of football, and that was one of them.
Damn wild. That's wild.
Insane.
Yeah.
So people definitely don't realize how, especially from El Paso, that's way west. That's way west. It's so far west.
Like I said, people think driving
south
from
and west. It's so far south and west. It literally is. It's so far.
Yeah, basically drove across the southern border.
It's Mexico. Yeah.
You know what? Driving through New Mexico, I'm listening to the radio station, and they had like they one of their giveaways. They said, okay, if you can be the next caller, within the next 10 minutes, you're the first caller, you win the jackpot. The jackpot was $27.80. All right. They said, we will raise it by 98 cents, because that was a call number, 98. I said, all right, so I'm in the middle of New Mexico, and it's then driving to Fort Worth. It was like, okay, the fifth caller will get the keys to the Porsche. So like a little different, just a little bit of difference.
New Mexico is all desert.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, all desert. I remember driving at night. I was trying to go to a casino from Albuquerque, and it was out on Route 66. And once I got out of Albuquerque and was driving to it,
it's like, oh boy,
it was just pitch black. It was just
there's nothing, dude.
It's like follow the moon, you know. Yeah. Get your compass out.
Don't break down.
Don't break down. There's nothing.
Wild. That's crazy.
And then out of nowhere is a casino.
It just pops up in the middle of a reservation. Here we go.
It pops up. Boom. There it is. So funny.
I coached when I was getting ready to come home from Georgia Tech. I was there for like one more month. I slept in the visiting locker room. I took a mattress through it on top of a training table, and I slept in there because nobody was using it at the time. I mean, so you know what? I think I paid my dues a little bit.
A little bit.
I've done some, I wouldn't change anything. I got to coach at Division I level. The first game was Alabama. Our last game was Georgia.
It's an amazing experience, Coach. And I know
Yeah,
you
it
always,
was.
and you got to coach under some really good guys that gave you a lot of good knowledge, and you've just passed that on. So I'm so thankful that, our paths have crossed, because it's done nothing but good for me.
Oh, I appreciate that, Moose. And obviously you're a hell of a coach. Okay, and I remember, Dave, I worked with you a couple of times, right?
Yep.
And I remember, so there's a lot of great guys out there. You guys are a couple of them. So.
We try.
Yeah, we do what we can. We still take the bullets, but that's fine. It's all good.
Okay.
I think that's Coach, part of it.
It's been great having you on. It really has been enjoyable.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's the first time I've ever done one of these.
Yeah, Coach. This is like I told you. It's kind of, we just get on and we just talk ball. Because, listen, look, we've had a lot of guests. We had a lot of your boys. We had Coach Sadlock on, and he was all jacked up, man. Like, and we've had, guys like Coach Gallagher and guys that have really, like, been a part of the game and helped the game and stuff like that. So we just listen. It's just we just like getting on, talking some ball, getting some different perspectives on some certain things that, and we just roll with it. So we really appreciate you taking the time, Moose.
Yeah, I worked with Coach Sadlock at St. Peter's for a couple of years. I coached against Jury when he was the head coach of William Patterson.
Yep.
Again, so we got a nice clique of coaches here that people who realize that we put a lot of time in. There's a lot of us out there who are closing in on 50 years.
That's it.
Yeah, hopefully you can. How many years you got left till 50?
Yeah. Let's see. What I just did my 14th.
Oh, okay, there you go. You're gonna get 36 more, Moose.
Yeah, amen, buddy.
Hey, and how's the little one doing?
Oh my God, don't even go there. She's all over the place, brother. About to be 8 months. It's great. First one. Amen.
Okay.
I know.
Enjoy.
You've known me long enough to be like, holy shit, this kid's got a kid. Oh boy.
Enjoy, man.
Amen, Coach. Amen. But listen, I appreciate you taking the time. I know that retirement, you got a busy schedule, so.
Yeah. I gotta go get lunch.
Thanks a lot, Coach. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. You too.
Right. See you, Moose.
Bye-bye.
That was great. That was fun. Ton of fun, dude. That's great.
He just has so much knowledge, Dave. Like, we didn't really even get into the X's and O's. It's just the stuff he took from Georgia Tech and brought back and did all that stuff. And, the way he schemes certain things, like I was so fortunate to coach with him and under him for 2 years at PV. I was just a sponge, dude. Just learned so much defensive stuff, especially from him being all those years at Montclair State with, Coach G and those guys. They won all the time and they were known for defense. And he was the reason. Dave, he was the first guy that ever, was like, hey, I want all of you guys on defense standing up and just moving, right? Like, he called it the amoeba defense. Like, everything's all over. Just stand up, pick a gap, and hit it. It was wild.
That is wild.
He's been in it a long time, so good to have him on.
No, it's great to have him on. So somebody just tried to log in there under Barry Sanders, a hacker or something.
Huh. Never ends, bro.
See you. Great podcast. We'll get up out of here. All right. Let's get up out of here.